Wall Street Journal is reporting that worldwide efforts to reverse declining birth rates are falling flat. Incentives like tax deductions, extra vacation days, and free fertility treatments have not worked to get more babies into the world. So what do we think are the reasons for this?
Well, I think it's just so ridiculous to trivialize having a family down to just finances. And I think some people are just short of understanding that we're in a different time. Like, for example, my grandmother and my mother really didn't have a choice when it came to becoming a mother. It was expected by everybody, and that social pressure was everywhere. And luckily for me, I'm in a time where I have a choice. And I've always felt like I had a choice where I could have a family and stay home and take care of my children, or I could go after my career, move to another country and do whatever I want. And I think that's the part that people are having a hard time with, where women are choosing and they're not choosing the thing they think that we are naturally born to do, which is become mothers. And it's like, it's not about your subsidized minivan, although that sounds very exciting, right? And $150,000 in loans, I'm sorry, that sounds like debt. I don't understand why they brought it down to money. It's about choices, and I think people just can't wrap their brain around the fact that there are a lot of women who just don't want to make that choice. And I'll say this, you might be surprised if you talk to some of the women in your family, the older ones, that they actually didn't want to make that choice either. And if they could go back, they might not have had as many children, or it would have been a different situation for them. So. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating discussion because what this found was that this is not just a Canadian problem. This is happening across the world, South Korea, many parts of Europe, for example. And it turns out that, you know, they actually distilled it and realized it's actually not about money. They said regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of education level, women are choosing to not have children. And I think that if you've all heard, there's whispers of this happening, maybe not whispers, yells happening south of the border in the presidential election. There is this thing called a pro-natalist movement, and you've probably heard about this. It's this push for women to have children, to bring back the traditional family. And some people say this is because we're having declining birth rates. And so how can you do that without asking women to carry that burden? We want to have choices, to your point, Andrea. We want to choose if we want to be ambitious and go out in the workforce. But if you want us to do that, and you also want us to increase the birth rate, which is our job. How do you expect us to do both?
Yeah.
And I think you cannot have a pro-natalist movement or this expectation of increasing birth rates without targeting men. If you do not bring men into this conversation to say, you need to step up and help, well, then why am I going to take all the pressure?
You bring up a good point.
I think too, you know, when I was growing up in an immigrant, racialized family, I remember all of us kids being brought to some auntie's house or some uncle's house, and all the parents are playing mahjong, all the kids as a giant squad are playing together. And I don't see that with my friends with kids anymore. They're raising them on their own. It's so hard for them because they have their kids full-time all the time. They don't get to be adults at the same time. When they see me and they're like, oh, where are you off to, the symphony or a movie? The envy in their eyes. I really worry for them because raising kids, you do need a village, right? That proverbial village. And I think we've lost that culturally as well. People do feel like they're only doing it by themselves.
Well, that's why I guess in the States they've declared what parenthood as a
crisis, a mental health crisis.
Yeah. Maybe people are hearing that. I also think there's a piece of this which you're talking about. It's the career trajectory. Women's biggest earning potential occurs between the ages of 35 and 54, they say, and those are exactly the time periods where you've just either come out of school or just starting to get your foot in the door, just maybe starting to advance, and then you're going to press pause on that and opt out. For many women, that's certainly what I was faced with. That's part of the reason why I only had one. I was right in the middle of a flurry of a career change. And again, looking back, I have regrets around that. I do. And I've had to live with it. I've had to grieve it. I've had to think about it. But I'm not surprised that people are caught in this conundrum. I don't know what the answer is. Part of the problem is the way the workforce is constructed. It is not only the men needing to step up, because they're also part of these patriarchal structures that are disenfranchising them as well. All I know is that right now we got a problem. We can't take care of parents, new parents. We can't take care of the elderly. We can't take care of the planet. So clearly, like, we are part of the problem. We got to figure this out.
We really do. We do.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.